You're born in Oklahoma, 1915. The land stretches flat and endless golden in summer gray in winter and home to everyone you've ever known. Your mother calls it God's country. Your father calls it barely hanging on. You grow up with dust in your lungs before you even learn to spell the word. By the time you're 12, the rain has stopped coming. The wheat dies first, then the cattle, then the hope. Your father still plows, because that's what men do, fight the earth even when it's already won. When the winds come, they come like judgment. Black walls rolling across the plains, swallowing sunlight barns prayers. You hold a wet rag over your mouth and breathe mud. By the time it's over, the fields look like the surface of the moon. The banks come next. Men in suits and clean hats. They say words like foreclosure and debt. You don't understand the details, only that everything with your family's name on it now belongs to someone else. They tell your father to leave the land. He says, you can't own dirt. They say you can't live on it either. The next week, you pile everything onto the back of a rusted truck pot's blankets, a Bible missing half its pages. Your mother ties a jar of flour to the side like it's a charm against hunger. You drive west toward the place people whisper about California. They say there's work there. They say oranges grow like miracles. They say the soil is rich and the sky never breaks. You want to believe them. But 1,000 families drive the same road, their trucks coughing their dreams rattling in the wind. You see signs nailed to fences. Okies go home. You don't know what that means yet. You'll learn soon enough. The first night on the road, you sleep under the truck. The stars are so bright they hurt to look at. You ask your mother how far California is. She says far enough to start over. You fall asleep before you can ask what happens if starting over doesn't work. You never get to choose what you'll be. The land already decided. A hand, a back, a mouth that never stops tasting dust. The truck makes it as far as Bakersfield before the engine gives out. By then, your skin tastes like dust and road salt, and the only thing heavier than your stomach is the silence between your parents. California doesn't look like a miracle. It looks tired. Fields stretch for miles, worked by men whose faces are burned the color of the dirt. You pull into a camp outside Fresno, a line of tents, tar paper shacks, and rusted cars turned into homes. Kids run barefoot through puddles that smell like rot. Someone's frying onions in a tin pan. For a second, you think it smells like hope. Then you realize it's the only food they have left. They call you Okie before you even unpack. You learn quick it's not a compliment. It means you're poor, desperate, and temporary a ghost wearing overalls. Locals glare at your license plates, mutter about dirt, people stealing jobs. But the landowners need hands and yours are still young. So you pick peaches, then cotton, then anything that grows under a sun that feels angry at everyone. The pay is by the pound. You work from sunrise until your fingers blister, and by the time the foreman weighs your sack, the sweat has already stolen half your wages. You sleep on the ground. Your mother coughs at night, that dry, hollow sound you remember from Oklahoma. Your father stops talking about going home. There's nothing left to go back to. The bosses drive through the rows in shiny trucks, chewing cigars, shouting orders through bullhorns. They say you should be grateful. They say there's always someone hungrier waiting to take your place. And they're right. Every week, more trucks arrive, families just like yours, faces just as thin, dreams just as breakable. When the crops rot, they cut your pay in half. When the rain comes, they fire everyone. You learn not to ask why. You learn not to look the foreman in the eye. You learn to keep your head down literally because sunstroke kills slower than starvation. Once you see a man collapse in the field, he's maybe 40, maybe 50. Nobody knows. The foreman tells you to drag him to the shade, then get back to work. By the time you do, he's gone. They bury him behind the orchard. No name, no cross, just another hand the land chewed up. At night, you listen to your parents whisper. Your mother says maybe she'll take in laundry for the other families. Your father says maybe he'll head north to find better work. You pretend to be asleep because you know neither of them believes their own words anymore. When the hunger gets bad, you chew green oranges. When it rains, you hold out your tongue and call it supper. You start to understand what California really is not the end of the road, but the place the road was always leading. A beautiful cage with no door. You stop asking when things will get better. You just learn how to endure longer than the person next to you. That's what survival means here. By 1935, you've stopped being a wanderer. You're a worker now, not by title, but by habit. Every dawn starts the same: a cough, a prayer, a dry crust of bread. Then the whistle, and you're in the fields. You can strip cotton faster than most men twice your size. Your hands bleed, but the calluses hide it. You move on instinct. Grab, twist, drop, repeat. The rhythm becomes its own kind of mercy. If you keep your body moving, your thoughts can't keep up. The growers call it progress. They say the Depression is ending, the nation's recovering. You see no proof of that in the camp. Children still die from dust pneumonia. Your sister's hair still falls out from hunger. The only thing that grows steady is the line at the hiring gate. You learn the rules of this new world. Never ask for water twice. Never stop before the foreman does. Never talk about unions, not unless you want the sheriff showing up with clubs and shotguns. Sometimes you hear talk of strikes, a few brave souls in another county demanding better pay. They vanish by morning. You stop asking what happened to them. Everyone knows the answer but pretends not to. The heat is a living thing. It presses against your back until your vision swims. You drink from irrigation ditches, water brown and warm. You smell like sun and fertilizer and sweat that never leaves. At night, you sleep in a tent that breathes dust. The wind sings through the seams like a dying man's breath. One afternoon, a photographer shows up, city woman, clean clothes, a camera that glints like something from another world. She asks you to stand still to look straight at her. You don't know why, but you do. She clicks once, says, "People should see this." Then she drives away. You never see her again. Weeks later, you spot your own face in a newspaper someone used to wrap bread. The caption says, "Migrant Worker, California." No name, no story. Just a face, tired, sunburned, anonymous. You tear the page out and fold it into your pocket. Proof, maybe, that you exist. By now, you can sense storms before they come, not from the sky, but from the people. The way voices get sharper, tempers shorter. The way hunger turns into rage. The way you stop believing tomorrow means anything. When the crops are good, the bosses lower pay. When the crops are bad, they blame you. You laugh about it sometimes because the only other choice is crying. And tears cost water you don't have. Still, there's one thing you've learned. A man can live without food for days, without sleep for weeks, but not without hope. So you keep a small piece of it tucked somewhere deep, like a seed buried in cracked earth. You tell yourself that if the rain ever comes again, maybe something in you will grow too. For now, you just keep picking, because stopping feels too much like dying. By 1940, the rain finally returns, but it's too late for you. The fields bloom again, yes, but the wages don't. Machines hum where men used to sing. Tractors move in lines, clean and tireless, cutting through the earth faster than a dozen hands ever could. You stand at the edge of a cotton field and watch one roll past, its metal teeth gleaming like a sermon about progress. The foreman says, "Ain't it beautiful?" You nod. You don't tell him it feels like watching your own funeral. Work dries up as fast as the dust once did. The growers say they're modernizing. The camps say they're starving. You try heading north, grapes in the valley, lettuce in Salinas, but every road is already crowded with others chasing the same dying promise. Your father's hands shake too much to hold a sack now. Your mother's cough never stopped after Oklahoma. Your little sister ran off with a truck driver who promised Los Angeles was better. You don't blame her. Everyone's looking for somewhere the dirt doesn't remember them. The government camps start closing. Photographers stop coming. The newspapers find new stories. Wars overseas, new jobs in factories. A country healing itself and forgetting the people it used to use. You take odd jobs, patching fences, loading crates, washing fruit that you can't afford to eat. The foreman pays you in coins that feel lighter each season. Once a man hands you a pamphlet about opportunity in the city. You laugh because you've learned that every promise in America costs the poor twice once when they believe it, and again when they don't. Your body starts to slow down. The sun that once hardened you now burns too deep. Your hands ache in the cold. You cough like your mother did. Sometimes you can still taste the dust even though it's been years since the last storm. It's like the land got inside you and never left. You walk by a field one morning, neat rows of fruit trees, perfect green. A sign says, "Private property. Keep out." You smile bitter and small because you helped plant those trees. You just never got to eat from them. By then, no one says "Okie" anymore. The word's gone out of fashion. But you still feel it in every stare, every job turned down, every quiet moment when you realize you're invisible in the country you helped feed. You tell yourself you'll go home someday, but there's no home left, only places you used to survive. So you keep moving, because standing still feels like surrender. And if there's one thing the fields taught you, it's that the wind always comes back for what it left behind. The years keep coming, one harvest after another. You outlive your parents, your sister, and most of the men you once worked beside. You don't remember when the camps disappeared one day. They were there the next. They were supermarkets. The roads you once slept beside now have gas stations and billboards promising fresh California produce. You smile at the irony. You know what it cost to make it fresh. You live in a trailer outside Modesto now. The rent eats half your pay, but at least the roof doesn't leak. Every morning you walk to the packing house slow but steady, hands still stained from the fields, skin weathered like old leather. The young workers call you old-timer, ask what it was like back then. You tell them it was hotter, harder, hungrier. They laugh, think you're exaggerating. You don't correct them. On Sundays, you sit outside your trailer with a cup of coffee and stare at the fields beyond the road. Perfect rows, machines humming, workers bent low like punctuation marks at the end of a sentence. Different faces, now darker, younger, speaking another language. But the story's the same. The names change. The hunger doesn't. Sometimes you wonder if the land remembers you. If somewhere beneath the roots and dust it still holds the sweat and tears of all the hands that once clawed it open. You imagine it does. You hope it does. A government man comes by one day asking questions for a study on migrant labor history. He asks your name, your years in the fields, what brought you here. You tell him the truth in one sentence: the wind took our home and hunger drove the rest. He nods, writes something in his notebook, and thanks you for your time. You watch his car disappear in a trail of dust, and it feels exactly like the first time you left Oklahoma. That night, the valley is quiet. You fall asleep, listening to the hum of sprinklers and faraway train sounds that used to mean work now. Just ghosts in the air. You dream of rain. Not storms, not floods, just a soft rain that settles the dust and stays a while. When they find you the next morning, the coffee cup is still in your hand. The radio hums faintly beside you, a weather report promising clear skies for weeks ahead. They bury you near the fields. No headstone, just a marker with your name misspelled. Years later, a historian finds a photograph, a boy in overalls, face turned toward the sun, captioned "Migrant Worker, California, 1936. They never learn who he was. They don't need to. He's everyone who ever chased the promise of a better life and found only work waiting for him. And the wind still blows across the valley carrying the same dust that once carried you. You were born from the land, driven by hunger, and buried beneath both the dust never left you because you were always part of it.